Better team. It is Jeff. I've got Brad Hughes with me this morning. This is your Wednesday wake up for Wednesday, May. What is today? Is today the 10th? May 10th,
It's the 10th, Wednesday, May the
2023.
10th.
Yes, we are going to do some catching up, talk about some different stuff today, do a quick community highlight at some point, probably have a few laughs, hopefully, to help you continue the momentum you've already built this week and to have an amazing rest of your week. So if you're with us now, please jump into the comments and say hello. Let us know where you're at. What are you doing? Where are you watching from? If you're listening on the Teach Better Talk podcast, thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe. If you leave a rating and review, we'd appreciate that as well. And hey, you know what? If you're watching after, you can comment too. We still see that and we love that. So we'll be back in about 17 seconds. All right, we are live. It is your Wednesday wake up. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. What else? And LinkedIn. I went way off. Ray would be very upset. Hopefully Ray is not watching. Ray, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I haven't done that for a little bit. It's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. That's how I'm supposed to say it. But good morning, Brad. How are you?
Good morning, Jeff. And I imagine that the Wednesday wake up is so popular, so sought after that there are digital platforms we're not even aware of that we're streaming there. You know, FaceTube or TubeTime or Twitter, whatever. We're everywhere, and we're happy that Brianne is joining us. And Julie's joining us, and it's Julie's birthday today. Happy birthday, Julie.
Oh, happy birthday, Julie.
Happy birthday. Thank you for celebrating with us.
That's shittle that I see in the group there. I've got the group. I got another monitor with the group up so that if your name doesn't pop up, because sometimes it doesn't on the back end, I can see you over here. Now, it's also weird, Brad, because I see you and me over here with a little bit of a delay, like, 4 to 5 seconds. So it's like a weird, I'm having a moment. It's like, imagine you were in, like those hall of mirrors that like in I don't know, like carnival houses, whatever. They're like really crazy, but like the mirrors are delayed. I don't know if that's a thing in real life, but like that's what
I think it could be a thing. I think it could be highly entertaining and discombobulating. Also, it gives our crack production assistant team, our extensive production assistant team behind the scenes, Jeff, they've got 5 seconds to click a button and take us off the air in case we really step out of line.
Yeah. So the problem is like the 5 second, like we've already recorded 5 seconds. Like they have the 5 seconds, not really to stop anything, but more or less to just go like this and like hide. But yes, delayed mirrors. That's where we're at this morning.
Yeah, I wonder if delayed mirrors would be helpful to people getting ready in the morning. I'm just not sure whether. I mean, you're checking your look, you're making sure that you look and feel your best, and there's a delay. What do you think?
Well, think about it, Brad. What if you're trying to check, like, do you have wrinkles on the back of my dress or my pants, or how do I look from behind? You could do this and then turn around and catch the delayed image of yourself, and boom, it's perfect. It's
on my way out the door, I'm doing that triple pat. I'm looking for wallet, keys, phone, and so if I do that in a mirror, if I miss it the first time, Jeff, I can just make sure I've got at least one of those things on the second try.
Yeah, this is if there's a scientist out there that can help us create this might be our next Kickstarter. I like it. Anyway, with all that said, mirrors aside, I'm telling you, it's a good idea. Mirrors aside, Brad, how is Canada this morning? How are you this morning? How's life right now?
Life is good. Life is full of gratitude and appreciation. Life in Canada, I think it's pretty good where I am in Southern Ontario right now. The province of Alberta is in a desperate situation. Wildfires throughout the province there, especially in the west of the province, heading from Edmonton, Alberta, west towards the border with BC. So best wishes and sending courage and support to folks affected there. Really lovely change in the weather here, Jeff, and that always brings a lift to my spirits. I find those warming temperatures and increased sunshine hours really restorative and really just kind of reassuring, especially as educators and family members. Our energy is really maxed out at this time of year, and want to make sure that we're getting those rays and those vitamin D vibes just to keep us going, which is part of the Wednesday wake up, just keeping everybody going and sending those positive vibes.
100%. Yeah, we've had that little bit of weather, nice weather uptick here. Actually, took a really nice walk this morning. Just like walked out the door, took a big deep breath, and I was like, oh, like it's a good morning. Like it felt good. It's beautiful out. It's gonna be in like the upper 60s today, so we're hanging around there right now, which is good. We had some last week. We went right back down to like the 30s. It was crazy again. It was cold, especially at soccer games. Last night's soccer game, much nicer temperatures.
Yep.
So yeah, it's nicer, and we've talked before. For most of the year, you and I have very similar weather. It's just when we get into the winter months that Canada goes hard, and Ohio doesn't go quite as hard. But it's anyway.
I'm yeah, in where I live in. So I live about an hour west of Toronto in southwestern Ontario. So the Great Lakes wrap around the Southern Ontario Peninsula, and I'm sort of in the middle of that area there. And the weather in the winter can go hard, but it can also be really temperate too. We have a number of false starts and stops as winter turns to spring, as many people do too. So really grateful that you just had that moment to step out and just enjoy that moment of fresh air, and just that grounding moment that you took to say, hey, this is a great moment to be alive.
Yeah, and we've needed more of those moments recently, so it was nice
100%.
nice to have that, feel that way this morning. As Bree said, happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I know some folks celebrated it last week. Brett, did I hear? Was it you? Did I hear? Is that not a thing in Canada? Do you guys do Teacher Appreciation Weeks or anything like that, like we do here in the States?
Yeah, here in our district, the week before last was Education Week, which was an opportunity to celebrate the great work that public educators do in all spaces and in all their important roles. Teacher appreciation, as well as appreciation for our admin leaders, our administrative staff, and our educational assistants, our child and youth workers, our early childhood educators. There are different days and different weeks to express that appreciation. And Jeff, what you and I agree is that there is a way to build a culture of support and constant connection where, in addition to those days and weeks where we set aside time to focus appreciation and support, it really can be something that we do each and every day.
And Brad, you kind of lead us in. We have an idea of what we want to kind of chat about today for our teachable moment type stuff. So I think actually we're going to go into that. So I'm going to play a little video.
Yeah.
And then we're going to continue with your thoughts here and get into it and stuff. So we'll be back in about, I don't know, 16 seconds.
Perfect.
All right, we are back here on your Wednesday Wake Up. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, or as Brad was talking about earlier, possibly some other sites that we're not aware of yet. Which, if you were on a site that we don't mention, you're somehow watching this stream and we don't know about it, we'd love to hear about that new site. Which would be crazy. Anyway, so part of our Wednesday Wake Up that we like to focus on is some sort of we call it our teachable moment. It's just a moment for us to think through, to talk through a topic, and hopefully maybe provide some sort of insight, some sort of value for those of you who are watching and listening, so that you can put it into action into your lives and stuff. And Brad, you kind of alluded into this a little bit before we hit the commercial, this idea around appreciation and such. And we talked very quickly before we went live, but one of the things that we talked about, and you and I have had this conversation, I think, many times before, possibly live before, honestly.
Sure.
Around the idea of like, wow, obviously like Teacher Appreciation Weeks, and like you have like, the Principals Appreciation Day and all these different things throughout the year. And you mentioned several different days and weeks throughout the year and stuff. You and I both, I think, agree on the idea that the actual goal and the actual, goal, I guess, that we should be striving for is that we don't need a week like that. We don't need days like that, because the appreciation is built in, and it's a culture of appreciation, and that people feel appreciated all the time. They feel honored. They feel respected, things of those natures. So I thought maybe we can go kind of down that path. You started to kind of go that way. I kind of want to just like throw that at you. I'm not even going to ask a question. I'm just going to let you kind of speak to it, because I think we typically are on the same plane here. But thoughts on this idea of of the fact you've seen, we probably all seen the tweet or whatever it was, maybe whatever, that like if you have to have a full week to show someone that they're appreciated, there's a good chance that they're not appreciated enough the rest of the year, which is why we have to have that week. And I think that's concerning. So your thoughts around this, because I know this is something you've always tried to do in your leadership role with your teachers and your staff and everyone and your students, your community, everything, is to build this foundation, this culture of appreciation so that it was always there.
Yeah, I think it's risky to save all of our appreciation and oh yeah, we really should recognize and celebrate the great work that educators do. Let's make sure we have a party. Let's make sure that we have treats in the faculty lounge. Let's make sure that we have, shout outs. And there is a risk there, Jeff, that if that's not part of really your everyday walk of life within our school buildings and districts, there is a risk that comes across as disingenuous. It also is risky if there's a mismatch between what people, I'm going to say, educators, no matter what their important role is, if there's a mismatch between what they really feel that they need and what is being provided on an appreciation day or week, if there's a mismatch, again, it is risky that the intent, which is to celebrate and support, is it gets off track, because what teachers may or educators may really need is something different. So it reminds me of your moment that you talked about before we had our little break, and just that moment of inhaling and exhaling in the moment, and just sort of expressing appreciation for the opportunity to breathe in that clean air, to take a few moments of sunshine. And that's something that each of us can do each and every day, regardless of our role, whether we're a teacher or whether we're a school administrator, maybe we're a trustee, or maybe we're a superintendent. It doesn't matter what our role in education may be, Jeff. It's the opportunity to just really make sure that each person that you interact is leaving, hopefully feeling a little bit better, or a little bit more inspired, or a little bit more reassured, or just seen. I like to say that you want to take every opportunity, and you don't want let anyone pass by unacknowledged. That acknowledgement is so crucial in our daily lives, because we're so busy. We get stressed, and we get in our own thoughts and heads, and we get those blinders on, head down. You're moving from one thing to the first, the next, and every interaction that we have, and our colleague Olivia Chan will agree too, every interaction is a chance to uplift others. And so if we begin today, if it's not yet part of our MO, beginning today, Jeff, just encouraging everyone to take each moment of interaction with others in your workplaces, or on your way to and from work, or maybe it's in the grocery store or the pharmacy, whatever it is. Just that, to me, is the foundation of that culture of appreciation, is just both strangers and colleagues just making sure that they see and feel acknowledged when they're in each other's spaces.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I want to go further into that. But first, I want to touch on, like you mentioned, the risk, right? The risk of it feeling disingenuous. And it popped in my head while you were saying that. I was like, yeah. And the fact that we do this in April, May, like the reality is, I mean, here in the States, we start back in August, September, which means if you haven't shown them that they're appreciated at this point, it's almost too late. And you really run the risk, right, Brad, of that being it. You also run the risk of, like, this week might be great, but then if it just drops off next week, like, what did it actually do? It didn't do anything at all. And I think the 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 better route to take is, how do we show a level of appreciation, and have a level of appreciation for everyone, to your point, to everyone, work with everyone in that community, all the time, so that this just becomes a fun week where we have an excuse to do some extra cool stuff. But it's not actually a week where the teacher's like, oh, I finally feel appreciated for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, but rather of, oh, this is just a day where we get to have some fun, right? Because we're allowed to, because it's officially teacher appreciation, where you, and honestly, from a, if you want to go purely from a management stand, it would make this week a whole lot simpler and easier, because you don't need to do that much, because it's already there. It's already appreciated. And I think when I'm kind of coming back to your point, I'm trying to take it back. So the thing that the key to doing that is not the first step is not what are all the things I can do to show the appreciation, but how do I really get myself to understand that I do appreciate it? And I go to that because I've told this story, I think probably on live several times back when my days of running restaurants and stuff, when we had the book that told us, like, how to give good customer experiences, and how to support, be friendly, and give them good service, right? And I had an old boss who's phenomenal at his job, but we had this very different style. And he and I finally had a realization. I said, hey, like, you go do these things because the book says you're supposed to. I go do them because they make me feel good and I want to, hold the door for the couple, talk to that older couple because you go because you're supposed to. I think maybe I'll remind them of the grandson that they don't get to see very often. I said, that's just a different thing, but that doesn't mean that he couldn't work that and build that into his life. And I think the key is recognizing what you appreciate and finding that appreciation. If you do that, you're going to share it more easily, more regularly. It's going to come across it's going to be genuine. So it's going to come across genuine. But it's not going to feel like you're necessarily trying. It's just going to happen. Thoughts on that? That's what I was bringing that back to where you were talking about, like taking the time to find what you appreciate in your life, right? Like being able to step outside and take a deep breath and have a walk, recognizing the people in your life that you appreciate and why you appreciate them, and then recognize the things about your life that you appreciate and why you appreciate them. And if you can build that where you're looking for all these opportunities to appreciate things in your life, in my opinion, you're going to be more likely to be able to build a culture of everyone feeling appreciated, because you're going to recognize it yourself and be like, oh, you know what? I do appreciate Brad. And here's all the thoughts and the reasons why I appreciate Brad. So I'm more likely now to tell Brad or show Brad and display that appreciation because I actually have it. And I think that's a key foundational piece that we have to start with.
I agree with that so strongly. It starts with, reflecting, and I'd encourage folks that are watching with us live or watching later, jump in the comments and just take a moment to think about what really makes you feel seen, supported, and appreciated. That's the foundation. And I agree with you. That's the foundational piece there, Jeff, is really knowing ourselves, what makes us feel supported and what makes us feel appreciated in our moment-to-moment lives. And then that's information that you don't have to keep to yourself. That's information that you can share with others. It's also information that you can ask of others. And that doesn't have to be just in terms of leadership or management. Avoiding those mismatches just gives you information that you can use to just add energy and excitement to every day to find out really what is going to make the people that I serve and work with feel appreciated and supported on a daily basis. It could be it could be the intangibles. Like this week and these special appreciation days, it tends to focus on things that we can give to others or maybe even do for others. Treats or trinkets or little prizes or coupons for
taco
some
bars.
kind of task. Exactly. So, but it could be the intangibles. Like it could be the appreciation is grounded in conversations. It could be in getting specific about the difference that individuals and teams make to the community. This came up in our admin mastermind Tuesday morning yesterday, Jeff, is how do we build that culture of appreciation in our workplaces on a daily basis. One thing that I found that's really gratifying for me, and I've received feedback that it's helpful for others, is to get specific about what we are noticing about the contributions and the special gifts and talents that those around us are sharing with others, and then telling people about it, letting people know, hey, I noticed that this was happening. This was a really special moment for me because, and being specific about the impact on the community. So, for example, when I see a teacher or an educator devoting a few moments to comfort a child who's in need, that moment can be recognized and celebrated. It might, some educators might think, well, that's something that we, of course, do daily. It doesn't need to be recognized. But what we may need to do is to take that extra step and say how that moment of comfort is making a difference to the community. So in this case, some feedback I give is, not only did you comfort that child in that moment and give him or her what they needed, but anyone that saw that interaction, whether it's another adult or children around, maybe it was in the schoolyard, anyone that saw that interaction knows that you are among many caring adults in this space. And that is demonstrating that you are and will be available if they need comfort as well. Every action has a ripple effect that, for better and sometimes for worse, can really influence a culture of care. So getting specific about how what we're seeing and experiencing from others around us is making a positive difference to you and the community. Sometimes I like to walk into classrooms and ask for everyone's attention and apologize for interrupting the lesson, but giving specific feedback to an educator in front of kids about the
Mm,
difference that he or she makes to the community. Sometimes I'll stop in and say, I want to thank you for being the inspiring and the kind and the welcoming educator that you are. It makes a huge difference here in room 7. It makes a huge difference here at the school. And that can be really surprising to educators when a school leader or a colleague can just stop and get specific about not only how they make a difference, but in front of the kids that we serve together. And again, that can impact anyone in those spaces, Jeff. Is just taking those moments of celebration and recognition,
mhm.
beginning with what makes us feel appreciated and seen, and then trying to find out what makes others feel the same way.
Yeah, I love that. 100% agree with all that. And I think to your point of there, right? That takes might take a moment or several moments for you to realize that you do appreciate that about that teacher and to understand the respect. And I think there's a, like it's okay to put things in place and uh things like appreciation weeks or days or things or notes in your calendar or whatever for you to do these things to get in the habit of it, because I think the habit of doing things then gets you to recognize them more. For myself, I think about, I've always felt like I was good at that type of thing, but it was in, gosh, I think it was 2019 was the second year I ever did the one word, which we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about many times. And my word in 2019 was appreciate. And my focus was I was going to figure out what I appreciate, but also show appreciation. And that was when I started ending every email and everything like that with "I appreciate you." Now that's just what I do all the time. Is I always use that. But one of the things that I put in place a little ways into 2019 was, and I don't do it anymore because I just do it a little. It's become more natural for me. Is I'd have a list of everyone on our team's names on my iPad sheet every week, and then I had to check it off every week that I just checked in and said something around being appreciative. And I think for me, I was someone who thought that I had that pretty naturally. I think I did, but I was trying to build it in my routine that I was constantly thinking about, okay, what do I appreciate about Brad? How am I going to say this to him now? I'm just doing it through a text or whatever. Like, how do I do this? And I think that allows you to kind of force yourself, or how it's not even force. It's a practice of reflecting on the people that you work with, and that you, if you're a leader, the people that you serve as a leader, and reflecting on not only who they are, why I appreciate them, but also how should I show them, because each person is different. You kind of you touched on that briefly earlier about like the different ways, because some people, I think a big piece is understanding how your people want to be appreciated too, right? When you talk about like the support they need, the things they might need, but also how do they like to be appreciated, because someone might love the trinket stuff, right? Some people love that stuff, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Other people simply just want to hear it every now and then. They just want you to pop in and be like, "Hey," like you said in your room, because that for them is like, you know what? That's what I needed. I just need to know that Brad sees me, right, and recognizes me. I don't need all the other stuff. That's cool. It's fun, whatever. But I just need that. And so I think trying to figure out what it is with your people and how you interact with them, and this is with your colleagues too, not just for leaders, it's for everyone. But building that into your routine to like take the time, like to get practice. We live in the world's crazy. It's really hard to honestly to like reflect and appreciate on things and find the good a lot of times. So building that into something that you practice on a daily, weekly, whatever basis, to take the time to appreciate the things in your life, to appreciate the things in the world that you can that do bring joy, and then appreciate the people that you serve with, serve beside, or whatever it might be, so that you can figure out the ways in which you reflect, figure out the ways in which you show that appreciation. And by doing that, in my opinion, I think you're just gonna be happier because you're gonna realize all the things that you do appreciate, right? Like stepping out to smell the clean Ohio air. Like, you know what I mean? So I just think if find the ways to do that, I think is a really important part. And that's something that for me has helped me a lot over the last several years, of being able to appreciate those things. And I think that helps us in the times where it really feels like there's nothing to appreciate and nothing to be happy about. You're more likely to accidentally find something by going through those processes. So,
A few things are coming to mind. I want to shift back to your recollection of working in the service industry, in the restaurant industry, and that I also have a background in restaurant uh, management, and I know that it's something that can come out of a manual, whether it's service or whether it's connection. So for your colleague, it may need to come out of the manual, but just like you made a commitment with something on your iPad to check in daily, it is something that can start out as a rote activity, but it is absolutely something that at some point each individual, I think, will likely experience the significant difference that it makes. I encourage anyone watching or listening to take a moment and just Google science of gratitude, science of gratitude, and you'll see the research is there, like anecdotal, individual, group, but also scientific research demonstrates that moments of gratitude that accumulate day over day make a significant and a positive difference in our own psychology and our sense of well-being, and just may be a key to unlocking community wellness. I mean, one of the things that I really advocate for, Jeff, is shifting attention from what educators need to do to look after themselves to what school communities and districts and organizations can do to help everyone look after each other. I wonder if just that daily gratitude is a key to unlocking that sense of community wellness and community belonging. But the science is clear; it adds up, and it may be among the most powerful tools that we have. Costs nothing means everything. It's just an adage that you hear, but it's absolutely true. Lifting others up gives you a boost, and we also know that relationships are among the most powerful protective and restorative factors when it comes to addressing stress in our lives.
100% agree. Yes. And yeah, definitely look that up. Google that, and then we'll do a challenge at the end as well. I think about I think our challenge is probably going to be along these lines as well. But yes, I think it's so important to build it. And you mentioned my boss at the time, and he's phenomenal at it now. He works at it because it's just not his natural mindset, but he's very good at it. People love working for him now. They didn't when I started there. He was very good at his job. We had one of the best stores in the entire country, but that part of it was different. And I think it was his intent. He was very, very intentional about it, and it changed completely. It was incredible. Anyway, so sticking with the theme of appreciation, Brad, if we may, can we highlight one of the things that we do on Wednesdays? We like to highlight a community member and celebrate them. So we're going to show some appreciation to one of our community members here, if we're okay with that.
I'd appreciate it if you did that right now.
All right, we'll be back in a few. We are back on the Wednesday Wake Up. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. Brad Hughes in the house. Jeff Gargas here. Loving all you in the comments. Appreciate all you in the comments, if I can use that word, as we talk about it a lot. To highlight someone, we wanted to highlight someone in our community, and we were talking about this briefly before we went live about, hey, let's talk about like this appreciation idea, this idea of how we can do this more. And you mentioned a podcast episode that you haven't listened to it yet, right? But you recognized it was the title or the description of it from our friend Darren. So we wanted to highlight Darren for a little bit, and I think we've probably highlighted this guy before here, but we're gonna do it anyway, Brad. So can you tell me about the podcast, and then if you want to just lead in, like, tell me everything you know about Darren Pepper, because I could go on and on, but I think he'd appreciate from you more.
I had a chance to meet Darren at Teach Better 22 and had wonderful conversations with him and about all his contributions as an educator, as a school leader, as a podcaster, and as an author. Darren and his team at Road to Awesome contribute so many good things in the education space. And really, that Road to Awesome is paved with bricks of good intention and that recognition, that appreciation, that support. And Darren's Leaning into Leadership podcast, which is part of our Teach Better podcast network. And we're very happy to have Darren as part of that network. Latest episode this morning, I had a preview, came to me on Facebook about Darren's commitment to, just like we're talking about, Jeff, shifting the conversation from appreciation weeks to a culture of appreciation that it moves beyond the things that we do or give to others, or maybe that we pop into a staff mailbox or the staff faculty lounge. I haven't listened to Darren's episode yet, but after we get off the air, that's what I'm going to be putting on. Is I'm curious to see what Darren's take is, and how what we're talking about, Jeff, those moments of appreciation and that culture of gratitude and recognition. I wonder if that's part of his commitment as well. His podcast teased that there are 5 things that he wants listeners to take away, and I'm looking forward to hearing what those are. So shouting out to Darren Peppard, the Road to Awesome team, and expressing gratitude for what he offers, and excitement that he's part of our podcast network as well, Jeff.
Yeah, and I would imagine knowing Darren that the things that he's going to talk about around this idea are going to fall in line really well with what we've been talking about here. Because I know, so one of the things that Darren does is actually travels around the country speaking with school staff, a lot of leadership work, but with the school staff in general, of building the right culture, and appreciation is a big piece of that. And you mentioned that he's on the podcast network. Darren has also been a member. He's a founding member of our Edupreneur Mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
And actually something that's kind of hasn't been super public yet, because it's actually already closed, because we pull people from the Edupreneur Mastermind. We have actually something called our Edupreneur MBA program, which is a next tier up of that mastermind that's a little more intense. Wow. For those that are really trying to grow something in education space. That's actually literally kicking off tomorrow officially. Mm-hmm. And Darren is one of our founders in that as well, one of the founding members, one of the people that actually was pushing for something like that helped us create this program. So super excited about that. So I get to spend a lot of time with Darren, and I've gotten to know him a lot, just really, really well over the last year or so. And to know him obviously in his role as an entrepreneur and the things that he's trying to do and spreading that road, the awesomeness all over the place, but also him as a person. And I turn to him a lot in that program for ideas and for additional mentorship and for the other folks that are in that group. And I have a tremendous amount of appreciation for him, and I see it from him constantly as well. He's one of those people that reaches out randomly and says, "Hey, just letting you know, thinking about you, appreciate you if you ever need anything." And so I just encourage everyone watching, listening, to go check out his podcast in general. It is a fantastic podcast. I remember when he launched it and he wasn't sure. And then as it started getting some plays here and there, and he got excited, and then he's leaned so far into that, which no pun intended, but that it is really, truly just a really great podcast. So I encourage you to listen to it in general, but also this episode that Brad brought up as well, is that the most recent episode, I assume?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. So do that. Make sure you follow Darren. Darren M. Peppard is at Darren M. Peppard there. Roadtoawesome.net is the site. And he does consult. I think we mentioned, I don't know, I can't remember if you actually mentioned that they also publish books too. They have a publishing arm too, and do a lot of really great work there as well. They were obviously one of the big sponsors for the 2022 conference. But good stuff. We love having people like Darren in our network, in our community. We love having you in our community. If you're watching right now, and the appreciation is high here on Brad and I's side for sure. So
100%.
All right, Brad. I think we need to let's go into a challenge. I want to make sure that we leave everyone with something that they can focus on and put into place for the rest of this week to really finish this week strong. And then we'll take it out, and we'll bid you adieu, and hopefully you have another an amazing rest of your Wednesday and your week. So let's get into a challenge. And we are back, about to wrap up your Wednesday wake up today. We are still live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, as well as potentially other unknown or unforeseen or uncreated yet platforms that Brad is weary that we might be on. Brad, we'd like to finish with a challenge to our community. We did not discuss this prior to our thing, so I have an idea. But if you have an idea, I would like to step aside and allow you to issue a challenge out to our community to help us finish the rest of our week on the highest note possible. What do you got for us?
Jeff, I've got a smorgasbord, a little buffet of mini challenges based on our conversation. And I would love for you to add your heaping helping of gratitude and challenge to this smorgasbord. The first is for anyone watching and listening to just take a moment of reflection, or a few moments of reflection today or the weekend ahead, and get clear, and maybe even jot down, what are the things in your life that help you to feel respected, celebrated, and appreciated? And that, that's part of our conversation today, Jeff, was about getting clear on that. Helps you also to be clear about looking for opportunities to seek that information from others and to do the same for others. The second mini challenge I have for anyone watching, listening, is to take a couple of moments and to Google science of gratitude. In our conversation, we talked about it's undeniable the role that gratitude and appreciation on a moment-to-moment basis works for everyone. It works for the individual. It works for the team. It works for the community. Maybe that science of gratitude, maybe those moments of intention are the key to unlocking community wellness, happiness, and well-being. That's something that I want to continue to champion. Jeff, maybe another mini challenge is to take a few moments today and to come alongside a colleague and let him or her know what you've noticed about the great work that they do, how it makes you feel, and how you think it impacts the community positively. So getting even more and more specific about not only what you see and appreciate, but what you are guessing is the impact on others around. And the last thing I want to do, Jeff, is just to remind people that every interaction is an opportunity to uplift, and that you want to make sure that you take the time that you can and take the intention that you can to make every moment with every individual count. Because those of us that have experienced loss or change know that those moments, once they're lost, they may not be recovered. And so every moment, every opportunity you have to just be in each other's presence and emotional space and community space is valuable. So don't take those moments for granted. Make every moment that you can count. And Jeff, I'm wondering what's coming to mind for you. I'd love to hear your challenge as well.
First off, I love the buffet of challenges. That's awesome. I just want to know really quick side note of appreciation. The Green Hearts comment that I just put up is OG Teach Better OG. Jeff Kaplan's. What's up, dude? I haven't seen him in the comments for a while, Jeff. Great to see you in the comments, my friend. Hope you're well. My challenge, I actually have like a challenge that you can do either on a piece of paper or a doc or whatever you work on. And I want to challenge you, if you want to take it on, is to list. I'm kind of picturing. I'm literally making this up as I go. Yeah. So listen on the paper. List 10 people, at least 10. You can go more if you want, but 10 people, because I feel like 10 is pushing it. I think we can easily think of 3 to 5 people that we really appreciate in our lives, but 10 people that you truly appreciate in your lives. And then next to them is the reason of why. A couple reasons why you appreciate life. But get specific. Not, oh, Brad has a good heart. But what does Brad actually do that really makes you appreciate him? Then just a yes, no, or question mark of, do they know that you appreciate them? Mm-hmm. And and this goes to your reflection of do they really you may think, yeah, of course he does, but really challenge yourself to think, but do they know? Do I really show them that? And if it's a no or a question mark, the last column on the right is, I want you to set an actual date, a goal date of when you're going to make sure that turns to a yes. Now you can also still let all the yeses know that you appreciate them as well, but this is that part of that process of if you don't feel like this type of stuff is really natural and easy for you, or you feel like you don't have a good routine of displaying it, going through little processes like this. And you can even just do this in your head, but really thinking through, who do I appreciate, and how and why, really specifically, and do I recognize, do they know that? And if not, how do I show that? You can actually do this for things in your life too, right? Of, what are the things that I appreciate? Why do I appreciate these things? And do I instead of do they know? Because obviously the weather doesn't know whatever, but do I remind myself of that? And if not, maybe I should. Maybe every Tuesday morning I should be thinking about that. What do I need to do? So you can find these little practices that help you realize what you appreciate in your life. And I feel like that will then help you see the things that you appreciate, to recognize them, and more naturally share that, which goes back to, Brad, I think really is how we really truly build that foundation of this appreciation. And I've said that a few times, this foundation you and I've talked about. Mm-hmm. Reminded my head of our friends Hans and Jennifer Apple, who talk so much and have done so much great work with social emotional learning and SEL. And I can't remember if it was Hans or Jen. I'm going to just say it was both of them. They used to always say that SEL isn't another thing on a plate. It is the plate. Mm. And this is the same thing when you think about this side of things, which falls into SEO, obviously, but the appreciation of your stuff is not a week. It's not a day. It's not an action. It's the foundation of everything. And if it is part of your foundation, then we don't need weeks, although we should keep it.
Sure.
The things that you do, whether big, little, or whatever, can have a bigger impact. And that's leading me, and I'm sorry I'm rambling at this point, but you mentioned
Love
our
it.
administrator mastermind, which is every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. We had one of our admins mentioning that they try to do things, they have ideas, but they're really, really limited by their budget because they just don't have one. Well, if we can build that foundation of so that our people always feel and know and are recognized that they're appreciated, we don't need a big budget on appreciation week because we don't need to do a lot of stuff. The little things become the big things because the foundation's there. So challenge you from Brad and I and the team to find that appreciation, the things in your life, the people in your life, and put some time in, put some action into to show people that. And if we haven't said it today, I'll say it for us both that we appreciate you. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on with the team, and the support and everything has been unbelievable, and we appreciate that. And that's one of the many, many reasons why we appreciate you. We appreciate the things that you do every day for your students, for your community, for your staff, for your colleagues. The way that you go above and beyond, the way that you put the time in to learn and grow, and the way that you then try to share that learning and that growth with everyone else to help all of us be better. So, Brad, I appreciate you as well, my friend. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your Wednesday, an amazing rest of the week. And we will see you on Sunday.
See you then.